Hey y'all, welcome back to Brandy Cherie TV. My name is Brandy and today I'm here to do an update video for you guys. This is a long awaited 1 year and some change update video for you guys. It's been a long time since I've actually sat down and talked to you guys. I definitely get emails and messages and DMs and things like that, but for the people that don't message me on Instagram or don't email me, I wanted to just get on here and talk to you guys collectively so that we can all be on the same page. So I'm here to do an update video for you guys. In this video, I'm going to talk about updates. I'm going to do a Q&A because I get asked a lot of the same questions, and I'm also going to do a little announcement and a giveaway at the end. So make sure you guys, y'all just sit put for this video. This giveaway is something that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. My RT babies and even RT co-workers, I'm sure you guys would benefit and enjoy the giveaway. So make sure you guys are watching to the end. Get comfy. Y'all know I'm long-winded. Get comfy, get some water, get some wine, get a snack, and let's get into this update. Out of school, I definitely already had a job. Y'all already know I preach having a job coming out of school. Before you walk across that stage, girl, go ahead and just lock you in a little position. I love just having the security, so that's what I preach. So I talked about that, and I definitely think I mentioned that my hospital was an adult and pediatric facility, but I never really talked about the workload and just how the hospital is. So that's what I'm going to do here. So as a new grad, I went into a very busy hospital, and I honestly knew that from the jump. You could tell how popping the hospital was when I got there, and just how there was nobody in the department. Even the people that were interviewing me, they were okay, let's just kind of get this thing going, I have other things to do type of thing, because they were also working with patient care. So I definitely know it was busy, and if anything, that really drew me more to the hospital, because when you're working at a busier hospital, it's more likely that you'll get more experience and exposed to other things. So I wanted that exposure, I wanted that experience, and I'm really happy that I chose this hospital as my first hospital as a new grad, because it definitely helped mold me into a good RT. Fresh hearts, we did cabbages, mitral valve repairs, we we had an ENT ICU. Those patients would have some type of tumor or cancer in the ear, neck, and throat region, and they will often get that cancer removed, resulting in them having to get a trach. So we have to manage that airway. Sometimes they wouldn't come back in too good of a shape. We had to pop them on the vent. That was a whole ordeal in itself, with a fresh airway and being on the vent. The tubing is a little heavy. It was a lot going on in that little ICU alone. It was just a lot. But we have just multiple ICUs, multiple floors. It was a hospital over 500 beds, so it was a really big hospital, and we did the best we can as a department to just help everybody out. So my typical workload would be an ICU and a floor, but it wasn't odd or out of the way for me to get an ICU and 2 floors. So I would have an ICU that would be a little moderate, and then I'll have 2 floors and they kind of be light. But you also just have to remember, just because it's a light floor or it's a moderate, it's not that busy of an ICU, things can happen. People can cold, people can just go into some type of distress, people's blood pressure can drop, things like that can happen. So I'm saying this and it's kind of sounding like it's no big deal, but just keeping it back in your mind. If you're already an RT, but if not, just keeping it back in your mind, anything can happen. So it was definitely a heavy workload. When you really look at it, it was a heavier workload. We definitely did more than a lot of people in our hospitals nearby. They were like, oh my gosh, you guys leave the ICU. And I'm like, yeah, y'all don't. We have a whole floor or 2 whole floors to see, and sometimes we would be assigned to being code met on the met team, and sometimes we'd be assigned to being on a code blue team. So it was definitely a heavier workload than a lot of people are used to. But like I said, I definitely have no regrets in choosing that hospital, because it helped mold me into a good RT. With the heavy workload, I definitely had to work on my time management. I had to work on my communication skills, because one thing about me, and this is just me period, as a person, I like to make sure everybody's on the same page. So if I have any acute changes, I'm gonna let the provider know. I gotta let the nurses know if this is a patient that we know kind of swings on his oxygen kind of up and down. I'm gonna let the nurse know. Okay, don't bother me about this tonight. Don't bother me about this tonight. This is what he does. The provider's aware, the MD is aware. I've made a note, they've made a note. Everybody's aware of this, okay? Don't bother me about this tonight. And not that I don't want to be bothered, because I'm here to help a patient, but when you have to juggle an ICU with like critical patients that are on vents and things like that, me getting pulled out of my ICU as least as possible, the least amount of time as possible, I'm sorry, just benefits everybody in the end. So you kind of have to just coach people and just kind of give them that assurance, like, hey, like, I know this is what the textbook said, but this is this patient. The textbook doesn't apply to every patient. Every patient is different. So this is what this patient does, okay? Everybody knows it. It's not really anything we can do about it right now, or we're working on doing something with it right now, but he's not gonna be perfect, or she's not gonna be perfect tonight, okay? So just, call me if you have any concerns, but just know that this is the rundown. So I had to just kind of work on my communication skills, and also because, like, like when you kind of get irritated, or you just kind of know that this is a peer or a colleague that you're working with that kind of like likes to run this show, I had to like really put my foot down with certain people. And that's like another thing I kind of want to touch on with communication skills, because I'm nice. I really keep to myself. Like, I talk to people, but I really just keep to myself. I make sure I go hard for my patients. I make sure my patients are good. But I feel like a lot of people see me as a new grad. They smelt the new grad on me. I was nice, and they thought I was a sucker, and they tried to lick me. And I did get licked a couple times. Like, they seen a sucker, they licked. Okay, but it didn't happen too many times, because I was like, okay, like, listen, here's what's gonna happen tonight. Like, I had to kind of try to take charge, and I had to do it in like a nice way where people didn't think that I was being rude or anything. Just regular communication skills. I'm just gonna wrap it up with that. Regular communication skills that I had to learn, and that now I can incorporate into my life. Like the whole nice nasty thing, I know like this isn't what y'all want to hear, but just communication is definitely number one when it comes to taking care of your patient. Making sure everybody's on the same accord, making sure that we're all working towards the same plan and the same goals is important. So when you get frustrated and like irritated, and you lose that communication skill, that not only makes your work area tense, but that's not helping the patient. So I really had to learn that, and it wasn't like that big of a deal. It was more so people trying to run over me than like the other way around, like don't call me type of thing. But it's just important to note, and that's what I had to learn in a busier hospital. It's so many moving parts. These nurses have multiple patients. They're getting tripled sometimes, so it's good to like even tell them like, hey, like, I know you have a lot going on. Listen, you don't have to worry about this patient. I know X, Y, and Z is going on. You don't have to worry about this patient. Focus on another more critical patient, okay? He's fine. She's fine. They're fine. We're fine, okay? So yeah. So that was my typical workload. That was like me having to learn communication skills. And then also I just learned a lot, period. I think I've already touched on this, which is how much exposure I was getting. Like, a lot of people, when they work at a hospital, sometimes they're core to certain places. At our hospital, it was not like that. Like, you had to learn how to work in every place. A lot of times, I would have one assignment one night. I get to know these patients. I'm like making these changes that night. I'm like, okay, when I come back tomorrow, I want to know like how they did. Girl, I have a whole nother assignment. Not even in the same ICU. I'm like 2 floors down. ICU up, completely different. Nobody's the same. So you had to like really learn how to maneuver around each ICU. And that's another reason why I just really like the hospital that I was at, and why I encourage everybody to like push yourself out of your comfort zone. Go to these hospitals that you guys feel like you're so scared of. There's basic knowledge, and there's knowledge that you're gonna learn on the job. Just go for it. So if y'all didn't know, I also worked at a pediatric facility, and I had to do that basically thinking in the future as well. Like, I need a I need a pediatric facility on my resume. Like, yeah, this hospital offers both, but I need that. I need to be like in there. Like, my hospital has such a long line for people that were trying to get into the NICU, and it was really like one excuse after the other. Like, oh, we can't do it because of this. We can't do it because of that. Girl, I was like, okay, well, guess what? Your girl about to get another job, because one thing I can do is get a job. So I got another job. I went to a pediatric facility, and there I worked in the NICU and in the PICU. And you know, here's some tea on this facility, you guys. And nobody knows the facility that I worked at. I've always been good at like not showing where I worked. This facility, I don't know if it's like this at all pediatric facilities, but like everybody is mama bear to these babies, and I don't like that environment. Like, I get that we're here to take care of these patients, these babies, especially because babies, I mean, when they drop, and it's fast. You have to move fast, you have to be quick on your feet. I get it, but people need to relax. And so at this place, now let me start with the pros of this place. I really like babies. The pros of it was purely the patient population. I love children. Literally anybody that knows me knows I love babies. Like, babies. Like, I love them. Like, let me hold the baby. Oh my God, you're having a baby. Like, I'm all over that. Babies are my people. So when I was working at this, when I was interviewing for here, I thought, I'd get, the patients or the children that, they're like slapping the stethoscope off their chest because it's too cold, or like, maybe, I get some, status asthmaticus babies, I'm gonna, put a nab on them. I was thinking I'd get like floor care. But when I started and they were like, yeah, we're putting you in a NICU and PICU, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, we never did that. Why would you think now is the time for us to do that? But I appreciate the confidence that they expressed in me, because I could do it. And I could have backed out of it at the interview, but I went ahead with it because I was like, you know what? I can do PICU and NICU. I can do it. And I did do it for a couple months. But here's the thing. Back to what I was saying with the whole mama bear thing. I just don't like the finger point. I don't like that. I don't like that. And like I said, I'm not sure if it's like that at every facility, but that was the biggest turnoff for me, like the environment. So I had to leave. I ended up quitting. I worked there long enough for me to put it on my resume and long enough for me to develop skills, but I definitely ended up leaving. I really got what I needed out of it, honestly, as bad as it sounds. I got the exposure. I got the bragging rights to put it on my resume, and now I know when I go to a different facility, like, if it's going to be the same or if it's not the same, I kind of just know what to look for. Pros for my baby, for my pediatric facility, was the patient population. Like, when I would see a chunky baby that wasn't like having necrotic limbs or had BPD or wasn't on an oscillator, wasn't too bad off, and that can actually grab my thumb, sweetie, it's me and you tonight. I would literally sit there and chart with one hand and have my finger, like my hand in the crib, like playing with the baby, or just like, having my hand, just being there for the baby, because that's me. I love children. Like, people be like, oh my God, like this girl, like, oh, leave the baby alone. No, okay? I will rock the baby. You need a sitter, can I hold him? I will do that with the baby. That's me. So I think also along with the environment that I was in, I also just wasn't expecting that type of sickly population. Like, I don't think I like babies, but I don't like babies that sick. Like, it does something to me, coupled with like mean, nasty coworkers. It just wasn't a good mix. So I left. So yeah, y'all, that was that job. My adult facility, perfect, love it. Wouldn't change a thing. But my pediatric facility, wouldn't go back. If they paid me $1 million, I wouldn't go back. The folks are nasty. I didn't like it, and I made it very well known. It's like, for y'all to be working at a pediatric facility, y'all aren't nice at all. Anyway, so that was that. So I want to say, let's go back to the adult facility, right? Because I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Y'all know I do this, right? Are y'all still with me? Okay, good. So the pros with my adult facility, and I'll just say being a respiratory therapist in general, because although I didn't like my pediatric facility, I feel like these can still apply there, right? As being a respiratory therapist. So I definitely feel like the pros are helping your patient. Like, you definitely are there to give them breath. okay? You're giving them life. It's pretty important to breathe. It's pretty important to have a good amount of oxygen in your blood. So we're playing a pretty big role behind the scenes of helping this patient and really aiding this patient to recovery. So along with helping your patient, another pro I say with being a respiratory therapist is just that you have to continue giving education, right? So at my pediatric facility, you know, you have to talk to the parents about, you know, this is XYZ, what happens when you take your kid home. And even with adults, you know, when they're new on medication, albuterol, an inhaler, the spacer, things like that, you have to just constantly give them, and that's just to name a few. You have to constantly give them education. And I find when I'm giving them education, I'm learning too. Like, they always say when you can explain it and teach it to someone else, that's when you know you really know your stuff. So I really like that part about it, because as y'all know, I like to learn, I like to know new things, I like to stay on it, I like to just be there to help. I love to help people. That's my thing, right? And so those are really the two major pros for me. I can't speak for everybody, but those are the pros for me: helping people and just, you know, teaching people. And when you're teaching them, I'm helping me too. Like, we both benefit from this lesson. And so for the cons, I would really say I don't really have any, honestly. I feel like it depends on where you are. Like, people can nitpick and really dislike their environment, like I didn't like. But I wouldn't say that that was a con of being a respiratory therapist. I would say you may not like your job or like your role, depending on where you are, depending on like the pace of your hospital, if you feel like you're needed, if you feel like you're doing any important work, if you feel like you're applying any skills. Like, it all depends on where you are. So I can't really say that I've noticed any cons as being a respiratory therapist at either one of my jobs. So I hope that kind of solidifies that you guys need to go ahead and finish school and be a respiratory therapist. It's not that bad. I love it. So next we're gonna go to the Q&A. And for this Q&A, I do have my paper right here. If y'all noticed, I've been looking down and I've been trying to read what I got going on here. So I have about 5 questions that I want to address. And I thought about doing a different video for the Q&A, but I was like, girl, why you sitting down? Just go ahead and just answer it, okay? So these are 5 questions that I get asked the most. Number 1, how do I like it? And I really just went over that. I like being a respiratory therapist. And I can only speak for myself. I like being a respiratory therapist. And like I said, it really just depends on your hospital and your environment, whether you like your job or not. And I think that goes for any job. But I feel like respiratory therapists in a hospital, we play a big role in patient care and helping them get better. Like, we're helping them. Like, you know, like, I don't know what else people want from the role, but I feel like helping people and getting paid handsomely for it is good enough for me. So I like the job. I like it. Second, is it different from school? Is it the same type of role or job that I thought I'd be getting into? And I have yes and no. So yes, because I definitely still apply the same skills that I thought I'd be applying, like vent management, ABGs, critical thinking skills, things like that. Is definitely spot on with what I learned in school. But I put no because sometimes, I know, especially at my school, I got a bachelor's of science in respiratory therapies. I don't know if every degree or even every school goes as in depth as mine did, but mine went really in depth. Like, we learned how to put in art lines. We learned a lot of things that we just don't do. Like, it would never be that I found a case where you need to, like, where the RT needs to put in an art line. We need you on airway. We need you on airway. We need you on oxygen. The art line can be put in by the MD. It can be put in by the mid-level, the PA, the MP. We don't need RT or art lines, right? And that's not to minimize our role, but definitely when I was in school and I was learning all these things, I was thinking we would play a much bigger role in the hospital, and we don't. In some ways we do, but in some ways we don't. Was it worth it? Was it worth going to school, stressing out, girl, stressing out? And, like, you know, is the school worth it? Is the pay worth it? Cool. So, for me, it's a yes, okay? And I'm going to touch on the money thing because I know that's what y'all care about, right? Yes, we're saving people's lives, but I know y'all care about the money. So let's skip over that, right? So I chose a higher paying position. I would talk to people at my clinical rotations, the people that were like, you know, you have to kind of fill them out, because sometimes when you just go around ask people, hey, how much you get paid, sometimes I guess it comes off as offensive. I'm not offended by it. I want everybody to get the bag. If they offering me this, they need to offer that to you too. Or I can at least give you a range, like don't take nothing below this. Like, you know, so I definitely asked around, and definitely going on multiple interviews, I figured out who was the highest paying position. So for me, I made it worth it for me. Now, everybody doesn't have, they don't want the same amount of money. So I can't really speak for everybody, but I can say for me, what I was getting paid was enough. I was getting paid handsomely, okay, for a new grad. Like when I would talk to my colleagues and stuff, and like we kind of just, you know, talk about like, oh, like how much were they offering there? Like, you know, this little baby amount. I'm like, oh, girl, I would never. It is not funny, y'all. Okay, okay. This sounds bad. Okay. Anyway, sometimes the experience is enough for people. For me, I like to buy things. I'm a shopper. I shop all the time. Like I buy things. I'm that type of person. So I need money to keep up with my habit. I'm sorry. So I made it worth it for me. Y'all figure out what makes it worth it for y'all. And as far as pay, like it's definitely gonna depend on where you are. It's gonna depend on how busy that hospital is. If they're not that busy, do they need RTs? If they don't need RTs, are they gonna give you a lot of money? Depending on the state, like what's your average amount that they get paid in the state anyway? That's something that you have to think about. So like I said, figure out what you want, and just that's really all I got for that. Like I said, it was worth it for me. So fourth question is, do I feel appreciated, underappreciated, etc.? And I did just want to get on this just a little bit, just because personally I don't feel unappreciated, but I also understand how people can feel unappreciated. And I get where like people feel like RTs are kind of like, we kind of sometimes feel like we get the bottom of the barrel, or we just get like bottom of the boot. Like who cares about respiratory? Like who cares? I get that. I can get how some people feel about that, but I can only speak from my experiences. And at both of the hospitals that I was at, we were very much respected. We had great RTs. Our team was just phenomenal. We had people, everyone, myself included, who went above and beyond for these patients. We made sure that our presence was known. When we're going to fix a patient, you know, we know that that was respiratory that did that, right? And that's not to say that you need validation from anybody. You don't need validation from the nurse, the doctor, the mid-level. You know what you did for that patient, right? I know what I do for my patients. I don't need a trophy. And that's not to say, like, I'm not saying that people want that. I definitely understand how in certain hospitals, especially teaching hospitals, it's kind of like, we want you to be a knob turner. We don't want you to apply your skills or even apply like what you learned in school. We want you to do it this way, and that's just how it's going to be, right? I get that. And then sometimes when patients, when therapists go above and beyond, it's kind of like, you know, nobody really cares that you did that, you know? But that's honestly life. I don't feel like I need that validation from anybody. I've also just personally never felt like people looked at me as not a team player. Like my hospital, like I said before, was very team oriented. Like we did good work together. Like together, we all did good work. And me especially, I always establish a good rapport with my mid-level. I definitely stress the rapport of your mid-level. I work at night, so I don't talk to doctors. When we have to call the doctor, gosh, it's like a whole thing. Like, girl, are we sure we need to call the doctor? So I establish a very good rapport with my mid-levels. They know me. They know me first name basis. I know them first name basis. Like when I come in, at the beginning of my shift, I go down a list of my ICU patients. Here's what happened to them. I don't know if you got this in report. What do you want to do with them tonight? I don't want any surprises. Like I like to run a tight shift. I like to be on top of it with my patients because they're in my care tonight and on my watch. And I don't want nothing going wrong on my watch. And for that to happen, it comes full circle to communication. But I also need to stress the communication with your mid-level. I know sometimes it's kind of like scary to talk to them. I don't know why. They're regular people. And maybe that's because I've been in the hospital for so long. Like before I was an RT, I was a unit clerk, and that was nothing but communication. Like telling people different things, and then I became EKG, where you had to get an EKG to the doc, like, oh, this is STEMI, this is not STEMI, you know. So I've never felt weird talking to them, but if you guys do, like, you have to break out of that, because the mid-levels are the ones that make the orders. Yes, it's good having your nurse in your back pocket, but it's even better having a mid-level in your back pocket. They're the ones, they're the movers and the shakers, okay? The nurses can't move without an order. We can't move without an order. The mid-levels order that, okay? They're the ones that you need to talk to. You need to establish a good rapport with them. And because I did that, I honestly just never felt like unappreciated. That's a long way to say I never felt unappreciated, but I'm stressing communication to you guys, because communication is key. Teamwork is key, okay? It's key. Okay. 5. I get questions about COVID, like, am I burnt out? Like, how do I feel about the whole situation? Definitely, at my hospital, we were getting buttloads of COVID. And I remember the last time I had spoke on, like, it was like a vlog that I did. I was saying, like, it kind of plateaued out, girl. As soon as I said that, I jinxed myself, because it took off. It took off. And I mean, it was just one thing after another. But like I said before, like, we were a good team. We definitely, like, had a very high survival rate of all of our patients. Like, I mean, some of them, you know, unfortunately didn't make it, but I mean, when they did, it was a miracle. Like, and none of the patients remember anything. Like, we want to talk to them, like, girl, like, what happened? Like, you know, you remember? Like, oh, we almost lost you a couple times. Like, what were you doing in that little mind of yours? And you was like biting down on the tube, and like you were like fighting around. They don't remember, girl. But definitely felt burnout. Going in and donning and doffing the whole thing is just a lot. And it's also just mentally exhausting, because you want to make sure you don't forget anything. You have to be just extra super duper sterile with everything, which we always do that in the hospital, but even more now, like, I'm taking like extra precautions that I probably don't need to, but I do anyway. And just the mental aspect of it, like making sure you're doing every single thing in that room before you leave, and remembering, like, okay, I can't treat this disease as like it's not a universal way to fix it, right? Every patient that I've come in contact with COVID, everybody is different. I don't have a set guideline or a set spreadsheet on how to help these patients. I really don't. Like, everybody is different. And I definitely knew each patient was unique pre-COVID, but just after COVID, it's just so many things you just have to take into consideration. I feel like it was more mentally draining and physically draining. Like, we had a couple of things that would kind of help us, like, limit going into the room, so we would limit our exposure, but it was just the mental aspects of it, because me especially, like, I like to figure things out. Like, I want to get to the bottom of it. Like, yeah, it's some patients that we kind of establish from their history and their background, that, okay, like, this patient isn't going to be our prime, pristine, perfect patient. Like, it's, you know, some patients that we learned that about. But with this COVID, I just could not wrap my head around it. Like, some were better than others, but I just like to get my patients and get them all nice and fixed up by the time the morning comes. And there was a lot of times I just couldn't do that. But to kind of help me with that, I definitely just leaned on loved ones. I, you know, talked to my mom about it. Definitely talked to coworkers about it, because, girl, we on the same page. Like, girl, like, let me tell you about this patient. And they're like, girl, no, let me tell you about this patient. You know, leaning on coworkers, kind of venting it out. And then also just doing, like, a lot of self-care. Like, I really wanted to make sure I was tending to myself, and just, you know, just taking care of me, because if I can't take care of me, we can't take care of y'all. So that was really it with the COVID. I think that's really all the questions that I've got. This is a long video, y'all. I'm so sorry. I told y'all it was gonna be long now. I hope y'all still with me. So now we are here for the announcement. So the announcement, let's get a drum roll. Y'all see where I'm at, right? I'm not in my house, girl. Y'all, your girl is traveling. Okay, that's the announcement. I started traveling. First of all, I don't have to say it, right? COVID has opened up so many opportunities for us, and I noticed the good work that we were doing at my hospital, and I just felt like, you know, I just want to share me and help everybody out. Like, as cheesy as that sounds, I'm just here to help. Like, I wanted to leave anyway. Like, there's certain places that I just kind of outgrow, and I definitely felt like I was kind of outgrowing my hospital. And I've always been interested in traveling. Like, who doesn't want to go different places and get paid more? Y'all know that. Y'all know we get paid more than full time. But like, just being able to travel, like not having to stay in one place, is definitely me. Like, this definitely matches my lifestyle. I love to be able to be on the go. Like, I don't have to stay here. If I want to stay here, I can. If I don't, I won't. Um, so yeah, that's the announcement. Your girl is traveling, and I think some people already knew that from like earlier vlogs when I said I was going to pick up a license, and that was because I already knew I was gonna start traveling, and I wanted to start in states where they strike a lot. Like, y'all look up the states that strike a lot. I'm not sure if they're still doing that, because everybody's kind of like everybody is like, yeah, we can leave, but it's kind of like the same. It's kind of the same everywhere. Like, everybody's kind of getting their ass kicked. So I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but definitely whenever this all dies down, I want you guys to look up, if you guys are interested in traveling, like places that strike a lot, because those are where the jobs are going to be at. They're going to be like little quick contracts that you can do, and it's going to be a decent amount of money. Yeah, so that's the announcement. I'm technically on my 3rd contract, and right now I'm finishing up my last assignment. Well, I'm on my second contract. I'm starting another contract in March. So I'm wrapping up this last contract, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I finally did it, and I will be giving you guys more videos and like just updates. The more like acclimated I get with it, like I'm still definitely a rookie in the game, so I can't be like, oh, here's tips, here's this, here's that. I can't really do that, and there are plenty of videos on YouTube that you guys can reference for things like that. But that's my announcement. I'm traveling. So now, if y'all made it this far, y'all better not skip. Y'all made it this far. Here is the giveaway. Let's do another drum roll. Okay, so here is the giveaway. The giveaway is gonna be a Littman 3 Classic. I'm giving away a Littman stethoscope, you guys. I know that either my RT babies can benefit from this. In clinical, you need one anyway, but sometimes when you graduate, you want a new one. And sometimes my RT co-workers were like, hey, I kind of want another stethoscope. Here's your chance, girl. Get into this giveaway and get you a new stethoscope. So I'm going to give you guys the same stethoscope that I have, just because that's the one that I'm comfortable with and that I can really vouch for. I really like that stethoscope. I like the length of the tubing. It's sturdy. It's a good stethoscope. You flip it around. It's the pediatric bell. You know, it's a nice little stethoscope. So I will be linking down below the link. I'm going to get it from All Hearts so that you guys can choose the color that you want. I'm going to get whatever color you guys choose. Now, it's different price ranges, but the most colors come in the $98.99 one. It's like a lot of colors that come in that. So I want you guys to stay up there, and I'm also going to get your name engraved into it. So to enter this giveaway, are y'all listening? To enter this giveaway to get a Littman stethoscope with your name engraved, I want you guys to do 3 things for me in the comments. 4 things, I'm sorry. First of all, you gotta like this video. Like it up. Subscribe. Just do it. Okay, that counts as 1. That counts as 1. 2, I want you guys to give me your name and your credentials. If you don't have credentials yet and you're just a student, just give me your name and we'll engrave your name. Or if you feel like you're about to be an RRT or a CRT, whatever, go ahead and give me that. I'll put that on there too. 3, I need your email address. Please don't forget to give me your email address. This is how I'm going to send you the confirmation so that you can track when it comes to you. And 4, just let me know the color that you want. Boom. Let me know what color y'all want. Give me your email, like and subscribe, name, credentials, okay? Get the stethoscope, y'all. It's a present that I just want to kind of pay it forward and just kind of like a thank you to you guys for a lot of the support. I'm going to wrap this video up because it's already long. It's like 40 minutes long, you guys. Oh my God. Are y'all going to watch this? Whew. Okay, y'all. So if y'all made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you guys are having a nice, blessed day. And I hope you guys are staying safe. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.